right. And let's get this Instagram feed up. Just waiting. Come on, Instagram. There we go. All right. And there we go. I am Coach James. I am the creator of and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics, which is a science program that uses Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics-related topics, including, but not limited to, friction, force, aerodynamics, drag, lift, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, kinetic energy, potential energy, elastic force. After we have gone over all of those topics, after we have conducted experiments to drive home those ideas, then and only then do I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student has the opportunity to select a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned in the class. After they have picked their cars, they weigh their cars, they test the speed of their cars, they check the year the car was manufactured, the materials the car is made from, all of the information that they can observe about their cars, they document in a spreadsheet, and then all that's left is conduct the experiment. And the way we conduct our experiments are the students set up a 1/64 scale quarter-mile drag strip, and we have a tournament and race the cars. The students observe how their cars perform. Did their cars perform up to or below their expectations? And if they had the opportunity, would they select those same cars again, or would they make a different choice based on everything that they have observed? In the end, we have fun with Hot Wheels cars, and we learn science. What could be better? If you would like more information about our science program, all you have to do is go to our website, aerodynamics.com, or you can follow us on Instagram, also Aerodynamics, and all the information you need is in the bio, and you can contact me and we can discuss how to bring our program to your school or your organization or your special event. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is all about Aerodynamics Presents Wind Tunnel Wednesday. So what is Wind Tunnel Wednesday? Well, with Wind Tunnel Wednesday, I have the opportunity to use the Funtech Labs 1/64 scale wind tunnel, otherwise known as the Windsible. We're able to put cars into the Windsible, turn it on, see how the air flows over, under, and around those cars, and get an idea for how much drag the cars are going to experience. Well, when do the cars experience drag? When they're racing on our track. Well, when do they race on our track? Every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific at AtTheTrack.live, I introduce new cars into our fleet. I mentioned that I bring in 400 cars for the students to use. Well, in total, we currently have 1,063 cars in our fleet to choose from. And since I'm always, every time I'm in a store, go down that toy aisle, look and see what new Hot Wheels or Matchbox cars are there. And I'm always buying cars, and I buy more cars than I have a chance to introduce into the fleet. So I have a bunch of cars in storage. AtTheTrack.live every Saturday gives me the opportunity to go in, get some of those cars out of storage, crack them open, take a picture, get a video, enter them into the master spreadsheet, and then they're ready for the students to use. But since we already have the track set up, we race the cars. But not only do we race the cars that are newly introduced, we race the cars that viewers pick. Hey, Roughshod, Virgo, Christopher. And all we do is take those cars, throw them in the mix, have our tournament, race the cars, see which one comes out on top. And the way that you can participate is you go to that website down at the bottom of the screen, AtTheTrack.live, and you're going to have 3 options. You're going to have a YouTube stream link, a Twitch stream link, but the third link is most important. That is the link that says choose your car. And when you choose that option, you are taken to this series of pages. And on these pages, all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live fleet are listed. They are numbered. They are cataloged. We have, like I said, over 1,000 cars in the fleet, and we are always adding to that number. Just adjust my light. And all you have to do is scroll through and find the car that you think is faster than the cars that get introduced. And if you do that, if you find that particular car that you think, yeah, that's going to be the car, let's say it's this 2017 Nissan GTR R35, this one. You say, you know what, I think that car is going to be faster than all the cars that have been introduced, all the cars that anybody's picked. This is the one I'm going with. Then all you have to do is take the number of that car, and in this case, that would be 433. You take that, and you drop it in the chat, and I will pull that car, and just like that, you are entered into the tournament. We have cars from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. We have character cars. We have cars that are, we have trucks. We have SUVs. We have some cars that are kind of beyond description, like this one, this Night Dragon. I guess loosely, it's kind of a dragon shape form thing. We have lots of creature cars, insect cars, whatever it is kind of Hot Wheel car that you are into, we either have that exact car or we have something very similar. Maybe you think this roller toaster, this toaster on wheels is going to be the car. I don't know why you would think that, but maybe you think that. And maybe, who knows, you're right. Sometimes we get surprised with these sleeper cars that we didn't expect much from, turn out to be pretty fast. But whatever kind of car it is you're interested in, all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, select the choose your car option, and there you go. You are ready to find the car that you want to go in the mix. Now, if you do that same thing today, we're going to take the car and put it into the wind tunnel. I see that Christopher has a couple of cars that he is wants to see in the wind tunnel, and then after he sees those, he will make his decision and figure out which car is going to be the one that he is going to choose to race on Saturday. So we have, and then Roughshods got his in, and so we will be pulling those cars. And let me just get this written down. Roughshods going with 575 and 616. And Christopher is going with car 18 and 1064. 1064. Interesting. Okay. All right. So we will pull those cars and any others that anybody else happens to list. I will pull those cars. But on Saturday, it's going to be interesting. When we just had this past Saturday, we were on the verge of having our first car that was not a Hot Wheels and was not a Matchbox. Now, we have had a bunch of the NASCAR cars, that 1/64 scale NASCAR cars, Roughshod and Virgo sent, and then I had one, so those have raced on the track. But for the most part, it's all Hot Wheels, and then some Matchbox sprinkled in, and that's pretty much been it. And we had that Racing Champions, this one, this John Force Peak antifreeze funny car. We had this one race, and this one was surprisingly fast, and it was heavy. But for the most part, we've kind of stayed in the same lane. Well, that's going to change on Saturday because two things. We had this Nissan Concept 2020 Vision Gran Turismo, this car. And the problem with this car, we found out right as it was time to race, is that this car, which is made by Majorette, was too wide to fit into this launch channel. This is sort of the skeleton of the launcher. And this car is just too wide. And it's too wide because of these, it just kind of flares out right at the wheels. The little fenders, like right there, just flares out a little bit. And this car it's a metal body on a plastic base. So had it been a plastic body on a metal base, I would have just clipped those parts off so that it fit. But because it's metal, I couldn't just clip it off. So what I did is I went and bought some metal files, and what I'm going to try to do is just file down these fenders a little bit, file them down, and hopefully I can take off enough that it will fit into the launcher, because it was only just barely too wide. Just barely. I mean, we're talking about maybe a millimeter or so. So if I can shave enough off, we should be able to get this car into the launcher and have our first majorette car racing. So we'll see. I have to try and file it without damaging the wheel, and that's going to be the tricky part. So I'm going to see if I can do that, and we will have this car in the mix. The second car that we are going to have in the mix, the first time for this, is I picked up this Maisto Speed Icons Ferrari Monza SP1, and it was just, I just liked the car, and I knew that it's one of these premium cars, and they list all the little details here, and die-cast metal body, die-cast metal chassis, opening doors and hood and trunk, working suspension, two-piece wheels, but this is the one that messed things up. Real rubber tires, and that is the problem, because the rubber tires, when we use Hot Wheels cars that have the real riders, the rubber tires, they create too much friction on the track, and those cars are so slow. They are so slow going down the track. There's just too much friction. And so this car, when I saw that it had rubber wheels, I figured, all right, well, I like the car anyway, and I liked it so much, and usually I stay away from these kind of premium cars, but I liked it so much that I went ahead and bought it. And when I cracked it open, because you can open up the back, and it just kind of opens pretty easily, so you can repackage it, I guess, so you can, if you're going to display it. It's kind of cool because you can display it, put it back in the package. I was looking at the wheels, and these rubber wheels are pretty hard. They're not kind of mushy rubber. They're pretty rough. I mean, well, they're not rough. They do have tread. Let me switch over to this other view, and you can kind of see a little bit what I'm talking about. So they have, let me get some light on here. You can see they have tread all the way around, but the rubber is kind of hard, and it was hard enough that I was thinking, well, maybe I can run this on the track. So I just did a little test run just to see if it would even make it down the track, and surprisingly enough, it did make it down the track, and it made it down the track fast enough that this is going to be a car that we are going to race on Saturday. I don't think, because we will weigh it on Saturday, but just holding it, it's metal, like it's a premium car, and premium cars use a lot more metal, and this one is heavy. So I don't know that it's going to be, in the end, competitive with the top cars that we see on Saturday, but it will be a first where we have a car with rubber wheels that can actually compete with some of the other cars on the track. That almost never happens. There we go. Get some more light on that thing. So we're going to have this Ferrari in there, and since we can already open up the package, and I already opened it up to test this on the track, since it's open, we might as well put it in the wind tunnel, and we're going to be checking out this Ferrari. So but first, the first car that's going to be in the wind tunnel, as always, as tradition kind of dictates, is the BlitzSpeeder. The BlitzSpeeder is our fastest in-fleet car. It is the fastest Hot Wheels car in the world for the moment, and it is going to be the first in the wind tunnel. And it's always the first in because, as the champion car, the aerodynamic profile on the BlitzSpeeder is better than any other car that we have ever put into the wind tunnel. And if you are going to pick a car that is going to beat the BlitzSpeeder, you're probably going to need it to have a similar aerodynamic profile, because the BlitzSpeeder controls the flow of air and reduces drag to such an extent that it's able to maintain more of its speed when it moves down the track. So let's go ahead and throw it into the wind tunnel and take a look at exactly why this is the car. The car to beat, the car on the track. It's so fast. We have had, this is the BlitzSpeeder that is the champion, but at different points and AtTheTrack.live, we have put other BlitzSpeeders on the track, and they perform equally well. We've even had BlitzSpeeder versus BlitzSpeeder. This one came out on top, but it was like an extremely close race. So it just goes to show that it's not just this BlitzSpeeder. It's not like there's something special and unique about this particular BlitzSpeeder. Every BlitzSpeeder, because of this design, has an impressive aerodynamic profile and is able to reduce the impact of drag. And we're going to see that right here. And so as always, what you're looking for is if the airflow is separating from the body of the car. So this is 67 miles per hour, our basic cruising speed. We're going to push this on up to 107 miles per hour. And again, where we're looking is at that first airstream when it hits the car and comes up over the top. You see that it's basically following along the lines of the car, and there's no separation. That separation you see is from that second stream flowing up over the top. But let's go ahead and push the speed up. We're going to go ahead and go on up to 147 miles per hour. And we have still are seeing that airflow following right along the body of the car. Well, Christopher wants to see a semi-truck matchup. Well, it's not a problem. I guess it would have been 2 weeks ago. We did have that Ford C900 maybe, in the mix, and we did race that, but it was beaten, and I don't know that I have many others in there. Now we did race that the Turbulence Tug. That was part of the Rig Racers series or something, and that one did okay. But yeah, I think 2 weeks ago is probably the most big trucks that we have ever raced on the course, and usually it's because those trucks are so wide that they don't fit into the launcher, but in this case they did. Now with the BlitzSpeeder here, so if you want to go back and pick the one that we just raced, one of those two, then yay, that's your option. But you can see how they performed if you just go back and look at the video from 2 weeks ago. But it's all about matchups, so you never know. But right here, we're seeing this airflow hit the front of the BlitzSpeeder, come up, follow over the hood, the windshield, to the roof line. And I think with the BlitzSpeeder, this is the key, that the roof line never drops off. It just extends all the way back to this wing, and that airflow just hits that, follows that smooth line right up there. And if you look at the top of the BlitzSpeeder, over the top, you can see there's also those two pieces that attach the wing. They're kind of raised up and curved, and basically they funnel the air right back to the wing. So it really is a pretty efficient design, and it is one that every week on the track, we see that the BlitzSpeeder just doesn't, and right now we're at 174 miles per hour. Slowing this down a bit. Every week we see that the BlitzSpeeder just maintains its speed and opens up these leads on the other cars that is just pretty unique to the BlitzSpeeder. So we have the BlitzSpeeder. Now let's check out. We will be seeing this car race on Saturday. It is the Maisto Ferrari Monza SP1, and I was watching a video on I guess it was from a few years ago, that Doug DeMiro, that guy who tests out all the hypercars and supercars and does reviews. He was reviewing this one, and I think it's pretty cool. And he was talking about all the different, things that they've done for the purposes of aerodynamics and reducing drag. And there is something that's interesting. So right now I have the car lined up in the middle, which you can see. But obviously the area that's going to be sort of not a problem, but the air is going to encounter some resistance, is where the open cockpit is. But first, let's see what the airflow looks like just over the body of the car without interfering or interacting really with the open cockpit. So this is at 67 miles per hour. We're going to push this up. And at 107 miles per hour, you can kind of see that air is, even though this is off to the side, so let me show it again. Even though the air is flowing down the center line, you can see where it is just a little. You can see a little hint of like air coming up, where air is going down into this driver's area and then it's coming back up. And as we push this up even further, we're up to 134 miles per hour. And we're pretty much seeing kind of what we saw with the BlitzSpeeder, where that first airstream is hitting the front of the car. Some of the air is going beneath, but the air that's hitting right at the nose coming up over the hood and just proceeding over that flat part on the passenger side, what would be the passenger side. Apparently there's a Ferrari Monza SP2, which is this exact same car just with a passenger seat. And the air flows right across the back, no problem. But let's see, and this is at 147 miles per hour. Let's see what happens when we slide the car over and have that air interacting with the driver's cockpit. What will we see happen? Now, what's interesting... Oh, thank you, Sancho. Yeah, it is the Funtech Labs Windsible. They have one for 1/64 scale cars, and then they have another one for, it's either 1/18 or 1/24 scale. It's big and it's expensive, about $500. So I am glad that I am not into those larger scale cars, because it would hurt my pocketbooks and my feelings. So what was interesting when I watched the review, we're at 121 miles per hour, and if you look in that cockpit, I'm going to try to get, you can kind of see the air just swirling around there, that turbulent air. Right there in the cockpit, right behind the steering wheel, behind the steering wheel in front of the seat. So what was interesting is this is exactly how the car looks, but when they were doing the review, the real version of this car has an opening where, like, right in the grill, like down in the front, there's an opening that channels the air up, and then there's another opening right before you get to the steering wheel that basically directs the airflow that comes up over the driver. So when the guy was driving, he wasn't getting hit with what you would presume would just be the air and the wind right in his face. It's designed, there's a little opening to actually control this airflow and send it up over the top of the driver, even though there's no windshield or anything. He's just sitting there. You can look it up on YouTube. But that's always the issue with these 1/64 scale cars, is that especially with the supercars and the hypercars, they don't have all the little openings and airflow devices that the real cars have. So even though they look the same, even though this is scaled perfectly down to 1/64 scale, and there goes the Windsible. That's one thing, if you do buy this, I presume this is like the first generation. I mention this every week. I got the first generation of this. I backed it on Kickstarter, and it's got some weird little quirks, and based on what I've read in the Discord channel, I think with the other versions, the newer versions, they've kind of worked some of these things out. But one of the things mine does is it will just shut off randomly. Fortunately, you can usually just turn it back on, but it does just tend to shut off, oddly enough. But again, since these cars, whether it's the Hot Wheels versions or whether it is the Matchbox versions, which are more specifically scaled to the 1/64 exact, Hot Wheels takes some liberties and kind of stretches the cars out and changes the stances. Matchbox cars are much more a direct 1/64 scale. But because they don't have those same devices and openings to control the airflow, sometimes these hypercars, these supercars get on our track and don't perform well, and drag eats them alive. And you can see that on our track, how drag will impact the cars. But this wind tunnel does give us an idea about what to expect. So on one side of this car, the airflow is smooth and it's ideal. Hang on, I'm getting hung up on this cord. Smooth and ideal, but then when we move so that the air is flowing over that cockpit, we know that it's going to be an issue. And especially if this thing were to race against a car like the BlitzSpeeder, one, I think there's a number of reasons why it would get destroyed, but we're going to see how it does on race day. And so, but this is at 134 miles per hour. It is not, I mean, it's a great looking car. It's going to be the first car we've had with rubber wheels that can actually finish the race, which is more than I can say for Grogu. But it does have rubber wheels. But I tested it out, and I think it should be able to compete, especially if we have a slower car, a bigger truck, something like that, something less aerodynamic. Then this car may be the one. This may just be the one to make it further than any other car with rubber wheels has on our track. So there we go. We have the Ferrari Monza SP1. Like I said, there is an SP2, and the SP2 has 2 seats. SP1, 1 seat. And I believe that the reviewer said they only made 500 in total. Like, that's it. 500 cars. And that includes both the single seat and the 2-seat version. And since we cracked this open last on Saturday, but didn't see it in the wind tunnel, this Nissan Concept Vision Gran Turismo. Let's let's go ahead and put this in there. And this is the one that if I can file down, if I can get those fenders, if I can get them filed down, then we will be looking at our first majorette car to be in an AtTheTrack.live race on Saturday. So it just depends if I can get those things filed down without damaging the wheels. But let's go ahead and take a look at this one. Hit our cruising speed of 67 miles per hour. And not too bad. I think this one I might put on the magnet to lift it up because, well, maybe not. We'll see what we see. Let's go ahead and push the speed up just a little bit. We're up to 107 miles per hour. And again, what we're looking for, and these cars, the three cars that we put in there, the BlitzSpeeder, the Ferrari, and this one, have all been pretty good. Because what we're seeing is, especially just looking at that first airstream, it comes in, hitting on the hood, coming up the hood, to the windshield, to the roof line, and then coming across. And this roof line, similar to the BlitzSpeeder, there's not a lot of drop off. It drops off a little bit. The BlitzSpeeder kind of goes straight. This one drops off just a little, but not a lot. And therefore, we're not seeing the airflow really separate too much from the body. And that's what you're always looking for. If you see a lot of separation occurring, then you know that there's going to be more drag that car is going to encounter, and drag is going to work against the car's forward momentum. It's going to be a lower pressure area where the air is separating from following the body of the car, and that's just not what you want to see, especially if you're talking about you're trying to take out the BlitzSpeeder. That is the car. And this one's not bad. I think if we can get this into the launcher, I've just got to file it down. But wait, I'm going to raise this up a little bit because where the air is hitting, what I'm not seeing is that airflow is coming, because this car is sitting so low, that airflow is coming in and kind of hitting right about there. And I want to see what happens when the airflow hits the car head on. So we're just raising this thing up. Put a little magnet, slide a little magnet underneath it, and get it lined up right there. And let's go here. All right, now let's see. Now we should get the air hitting it right in the grill, and then we'll see where it's going. So see, now that gives us a little better picture. This is at 67 miles per hour, but now we can see that air is hitting right at the grill, and then it's coming up over the top. And that splitter sitting so low, that's good, because it's going to reduce the amount of air that is going to go under the car, even though the bottom of this car is completely flat. It's not, they're not simulating any kind of parts or transmission or anything like that. But pushing the air over the top, especially if you have a good aerodynamic profile, is ideal. That is why that John Force 2024 NHRA funny car did so well, despite it being heavier. And we have a video on, I think it's on our Instagram, on all our stuff, Instagram, TikTok, all that, YouTube, with, it's the Isaac Newton versus second law of motion versus the funny car video. So we're at 107 miles per hour. And this is still looking good because we're still not seeing, what we're not seeing is the airflow really separating all that much from the body of the car. And that is what you want to see. So we are pushing this is up to 134 miles per hour, and it still looks good. I really hope that if I can file down those fenders just a bit, and really I probably only need to file down one so that it can fit into the launcher. I think this car could have a shot. Now, I don't know anything about majorette. This is the only majorette car that I have. I don't know how the axles are put together. I don't know how the wheels spin in comparison to a Hot Wheels car. But if I can get it filed down, we're going to find out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and pull Christopher and Roughshod's cars. And then I'm going to let this Gran Turismo sit in the wind tunnel for a minute. And then I am going to get their cars and take a look at those. So I'll be back in just a minute. Alright, let's go ahead and wind down this Nissan. And hopefully, oh, look at the Windsible was like, yeah, let's go ahead and shut it down. It just cuts off very randomly at times. Alright, let's take a look at one of the cars Roughshod is considering. That is this one, the Cadillac Cien, and it looks like it has faster than ever wheels, which is one of the only Hot Wheels gimmicks that we actually know what that means. And with the faster than ever wheels, the axle is like nickel plated, which reduces the amount of friction and lets the wheels spin faster, and that is the whole premise behind those. And this one it definitely has a very concept car type of feel. If Cadillac actually made these, then I don't recall that. But either way, we are going to put it into the wind tunnel and see if this is one that Roughshod wants to go with. So let's flip this over here, drop this in. The back is interesting because usually we're looking for, of course, a flatter back end. But this one is typical Cadillac, where it's, especially the modern Cadillacs, where they kind of come, it's not exactly flat. It's kind of rounded to a little bit of a, it's not a point exactly, but it is kind of rounded. It's got that very angular new school Cadillac look and feel. But this one, the faster than ever wheels, we've had lots of cars with those race, and I think it's still, it helps, but I think that on our track, which if you haven't seen any of our races, we have a flat drag track. It is not a gravity track. And so, the speed, come on. This is why I usually have to bust out the magnet, because these cars just won't sit still. There we go. All right. Let's go ahead and fire this up while we're looking at things. All right. Here we go. Cadillac Cien. What's it got? Coming in 67 miles per hour, basic cruising speed. Looking good. Let's go ahead and push the speed up. But like I was saying, on our track, it is a flat drag track, and the cars get launched out with a lot of force, like much more force than any other Hot Wheels racing track I've seen online. And because of that, because the speed is so, we've increased the speed to such a degree that drag is the most important force working against these cars. So having the faster than ever wheels is cool, but it's more important, what we're seeing now is having a good aerodynamic profile, showing that you're not having anything interrupting the airflow. This is at 107 miles per hour. We're going to push it up to 121. Still looking good, just like the other cars that we've had in there. We're looking for whether or not there is separation from following along the lines of the body of the car. And you can see this first airstream is coming in just like the others, hitting right at the nose, coming up over the top, the windshield, the roof, and then once again, there's not a big drop off from the back, the top of the roof, the back of the roof, to the trunk area or the back of the car, and that air is just kind of flowing over the top. It is separating a little bit here, but for the most part, that's a pretty good look. And if you've never seen any of these other cars, just like you just stumbled across this and this is the first time you're seeing cars in the wind tunnel, you've been a little spoiled today, because all the cars that we've put in have had very good aerodynamic profiles. So you haven't really gotten a chance to see what a bad aerodynamic profile looks like. If you want to see that, you can go back and look at last week's episode, and in that one we had some food trucks, I think we had a semi truck, a bunch of odd cars. So this is the Cadillac Cien faster than ever wheels. We're at 147 miles per hour. Still looking pretty good. Yeah, nothing wrong. I don't see any real problems or issues here. Good looking car, and we are gonna see. So that's one that Roughshod's considering. The other car that he is considering is this one, this DeLorean Alpha 5, I believe this is. Get it in focus. Stop bumping the camera. That would help. And this one's interesting. I think I saw the real version of this a few years back at I guess when it was still more of a concept car at the Peterson Automotive Museum out here in LA. And it was pretty cool, because you pretty much DeLorean, you just kind of get stuck with the DeLorean car from Back to the Future, but this one was pretty nice. I don't know if they are actually brought these into production. I don't know if I've seen one out on the street. Maybe I have, but it does have a very kind of lucid vibe to it. This one in particular, not a lot of details. Just threw on the white paint and called it a day. Now they do have the DeLorean badge in the front and colored the tail lights, so maybe the car is just this plain and simple with the white. But let's go ahead and put it in the wind tunnel, because this is not a beauty contest. We are trying to find the fastest Hot Wheels cars on Earth. We have the BlitzSpeeder, which at this point, it's hard to say that it's not. It's absolutely, without question, it is one of the fastest Hot Wheels cars on the planet. And it is our 4-time champion. And as I've been saying for the last couple of months, the fact that it's a 4-time champion does mean that it's been beaten 3 other times. So so I can't say it is the fastest Hot Wheels car in the world because we know that there are cars out there that can beat it. But unless those cars get picked by a viewer, then we're going to have to find a new car to try and beat it. And the cars that have beaten the BlitzSpeeder are the Gazella R, which the BlitzSpeeder actually came back and beat, the Dogfighter, which is pretty much the most bizarre fast car we've ever had on the track, and the Mercedes-Benz 500e. Those are the cars that have beaten the BlitzSpeeder, but the BlitzSpeeder made its way back to the top and is our champion. So let's take a look right here with this DeLorean. Another good aerodynamic profile, similar to the BlitzSpeeder. There is not a lot of drop off from the top of the roof to the back of the car, which let's just go ahead and say the trunk area. So that air is hitting the front, coming up over the hood, windshield, roof line, and then it's kind of subtly coming down. We're at 121 miles per hour. Going to push it up to 134. And we are seeing, as the air comes down, it's breaking away here. Anytime you see this turbulence, you're always going to see the turbulence at the back end out as the air kind of pulls off the car. But what you're looking for is turbulence in that airflow when it's still somewhat near the body of the car and flowing over. And we see a little bit right here because that air is coming down and there is enough of a slope there down that air is coming down, and right about here it starts to pull off and just pull off and away from the car. But this still doesn't seem bad. Not bad at all, I don't think. So this is going to be a unique experiment. And we are going to find out. We're at 134 miles per hour. There's 147. And actually, as the speed increases, drag becomes more of a factor. And as we turn up the speed, you see that turbulence in the back getting a little worse. I believe this is a plastic base because the white part is definitely metal, but I will check when I pull it out and flip it over. Let's see, we've got, yeah, so now you can really see we're up to 161 miles per hour, and you can see how much more turbulent this air is getting right in this area. And that's something that, again, with the BlitzSpeeder, you don't see. We can turn this thing up as high as it can go, and we're not going to see that level of turbulence from the BlitzSpeeder. We just won't. So this is the DeLorean, I think, Alpha 5, which is one of the two cars that Roughshod is considering. The other was the one we just looked at. And Christopher, there's a couple of cars he's thinking about. One has not raced on our track before, but it is one that I like. Actually, I need to check this. There's going to be a reason, which you'll see. Let me switch over the camera. And first things, yes, plastic base on that DeLorean. And so on this one, the Cockney Cab, this one is interesting, but you see those pipes sticking out of the back window? I need to check to make sure that those aren't going to be a problem for this car fitting into the launcher. And they are not. They will not be a problem. The car fits. It is good to go. I like that stance. What I don't like, just looking at this, is this little opening here. Whatever this is open. There's a little hole right down there. that's open. So the air is going to hit here and go right into that hole. That is absolutely going to happen. Now, how much air goes in there and how much, and because there's also nowhere for that air to escape. So it's going to get trapped in there. It's going to go in there, trap, and it's going to work to slow this car down. Maybe not a lot, but if this car has a close race, that could make the difference. You definitely, that's a bad sign. Everything else, kind of cool. So let's go ahead and throw this into the wind tunnel and see what we see from the Cockney Cab. Now this is one that I'm definitely not going to, I'm not going to put this one on the magnet because I don't want to lift it up. What I want to do is see what happens when the air hits that opening. See what we can see. That is definitely not something we want to see, but let's see what we see when we get this air flowing. All right. So right there, we can see we've got a good angle that second and third airstreams are both like feeding right into that. But we're only at 67 miles per hour. Let's turn the speed up. See what we get. Up to 121 miles per hour. Okay, so Roughshod is going with the Cadillac. And that is going to be his pick. The DeLorean will have to wait to get another shot on the track. All right. So we are seeing air flowing into that kind of intake or whatever it is. Let's go ahead and push the speed up to 147 miles per hour. And here's the thing that I'm noticing is, okay, well, the first thing is, so the air is coming up over the top, going across the hood. And then when it gets to the windshield, this is the first car that we've had today where the angle has been more traditional. All these other cars have been kind of laid down or had no windshield. And so you see that there's some turbulence happening right here in that point of transition. So then the air comes up the windshield, and if you notice before it goes in, hits this intake or whatever this is, you can see that separation. That black line is sort of showing you the separation between the first and second air streams. Then it hits this. Then when we come out on the back side, you don't really see that separation is not as sharp and clear. And the air is it's more turbulent behind there than it is in front. And that's what happens when you have something that's just impeding the airflow. If this thing was not there, I think we would have a pretty smooth and clean airflow all the way across the back and right off the end. But it is there. We're going to push this up to 161 miles per hour and see what we see. So this is the Cockney Cab. It is not raced on our track. It has never been picked. No student has picked it. It has just not been picked at all. So this could be a first if this is the one that Christopher decides to go with. And you can just see how much more turbulent that air is behind that intake as we slow this down. Now, the other car that Christopher is considering, I want to double check this because I'm not 1064, and you'll have to correct me, Christopher, if I'm mistaken, but it looks like you're picking this one. Switch over. The Hiway Hauler, which we had this thing on the track 2 weeks ago, and it was such a strange car to even have on the track that just the size was it was a lot. There was a lot of modifications that had to take place to try and get this thing to be able to race alongside some of the other cars. It was a lot. So I'm just double checking to make sure that this is actually maybe you just want to see it in the wind tunnel again. So we can do that. But between these two cars, I think clearly to have a chance to win, you gotta go with of these two. You gotta go with the Cockney Cab. So let's go ahead and put this thing in here again. We had this in here last week because it raced 2 weeks ago, and then last week we had it in the wind tunnel. But we can, if I can get it to stay put, we can humor you and take a look at it once again. And we had this on the track 2 weeks ago and in the wind tunnel last week, and it was not let me see. Now I've got to try and get it to stay put. This one, I can't save it with the magnet because it is already too tall. Alright, let's see if it'll stay in place there. There we go. Alright, let's go ahead and look at this brick. And I think if I recall from last week, what we saw was the airflow was a little more impressive on this one, only because of this angled piece right above the cab that essentially directs the air up to that to the top of the trailer, and it can just flow right over the cargo area here. And then it does have a little wing attached to the back, but it is not this thing, there's just too much frontal area here, so that air builds up. So whatever little advantage it's getting from the airflow transitioning from the roof of the cab to the cargo area is just minimal because this thing is so huge. And it didn't weigh as much as it could have because that whole trailer is plastic, so that part doesn't matter. But yeah, this is at 94 miles per hour, and if we turn this up to 134, it's not really making all that much difference, because even though, like I said, this part is fine, it's got a short, I guess for the purposes of this we'll call it the hood, a short hood, the windshield short, roof is only just a little bit exposed, and then we have right here this this piece that directs the air up and over. And I understand what they're doing. They're trying to make you see them on real actual trucks, that they're trying to make them as aerodynamic as possible, but this is not really the one. Now, Tesla has made, I've seen, I don't know if they've made any Hot Wheels versions yet, but Tesla has a semi-truck, but, you know, we'll have to wait and see, because theirs, with it being electric, the whole point is to make the most aerodynamic design possible. So maybe if we get that one in here at some point, we'll be able to say, oh, okay, here's one that's at least a little aerodynamic. So But this is the Hiway Hauler 2. And that is, interestingly, that's the second time we've seen it in the wind tunnel. And if Christopher decides to pick it, it will be the second time we see it lose on the track. But it all does kind of depend on what other cars it faces. But it's a little tough. It's a little tough with that one because there are very few cars that are, or trucks that are this big, that have this bad, this poor of an aerodynamic profile, and I just can't see it really beating many cars that we've seen. It can beat Grogu. It can definitely beat Grogu, but other than that, I don't know. I don't know about this one. So this is the Hiway Hauler 2. So Christopher is either going to go with the Cockney Cab, which kind of has its own interesting issue, or he's going to go with the Hiway Hauler 2. So we will find out. Really, you're going with the Hiway Hauler 2 on Saturday. Okay. So we just saw, Sox. I mean, I'm only throwing shade because we just saw it 2 weeks ago. And if you want to see how it performed, you can go to our YouTube channel and go to the live tab and AtTheTrack.live. Just go back 2 weeks, and it's gonna be interesting because this thing is so tall that I have to put extra pieces under the acrylic cover that keeps the cars on the track, and it just creates this weird thing where, so for this one I have to lift the acrylic cover up really high, but that puts other cars, like shorter cars, at a disadvantage because now the acrylic cover that would usually be keeping them on the track has now been raised up. So now it's pretty much ineffective. So the other cars just have to stay on the ground. And matter of fact, as heavy as this Ferrari is, might just go, because I know that this is unlikely to fly off the track, might have to go with this against this and see. So you would have had to pick that one. But actually, that Raging Express, I'm not sure if it fits. I know I have one. I don't know that it's ever been picked. Maybe. Well, if we introduced it on AtTheTrack.live, then I definitely raced it, and it has been. Then that means it's wide enough to fit. That might be a race that this one would still lose. This one would still lose. That Raging Express was still pretty. If I remember, it had more of an aerodynamic design than this one. So we might see. We might have if on Saturday we might have a bonus race, and we might have to do that because this Hiway Hauler is not. It'd be interesting to see against this Ferrari because this Ferrari is so heavy, and it has rubber wheels. So that's like two things that are a disadvantage. This disadvantage is just the design, the size and design. So that might be an interesting matchup. But other than that, we've got Roughshod who's going with the Cadillac with the faster than ever wheels. So that's already putting that in a good position. And of course, if I can file down the fenders just enough for this car to fit into the launcher, then we will also be seeing our first majorette car and seeing how these majorette wheels spin, which they don't seem to be really. Well, I guess they're okay. We'll see. Can't wait. All right, so Saturday we are all set up. I haven't even I got a bunch of cars from Target and the dollar store and all that recently. We've got a couple of Matchboxes, some Hot Wheels. I got this one. I'll show it. Saw this pack at the dollar store that was just sitting there. You can't see this one because it's green and the green screen, but it's kind of cool. It has an Aston Martin Vulcan, a Ferrari SF90 Stradale, a 17 Ford GT, a Lamborghini Huracan LP 610 4, and a Lotus Avija, all of which are already in the fleet. And matter of fact, this Ferrari, that's the one that Roughshot and Virgo sent. It was just a different color, but it's already in the fleet. So I'm gonna find something to do with these cars. But this was just a cool little pack that I picked up, and we'll see what happens with that. But we've got a bunch of other cars to introduce this Saturday. We've got the Hiway Haulers coming back. We've got a metal Ferrari Maisto car with rubber wheels. We've got this Majorette Gran Turismo. We've got the Cadillac with the faster than ever wheels. So we're already set up for a good series of races. We will be here Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific at the Track Live. If you missed the episode, you can watch it on our YouTube page. If you go to the YouTube page, if you wait about an hour or so after the broadcast finishes, then I add in time codes. So if you go to any of the old episodes, you can hit the time codes, jump to wherever you need to be, and see whatever you want to see. So that is it. We are done with Wind Tunnel Wednesday. I am Coach James. If you want more information about our science program, check that out, aerodynamics.com. Wind Tunnel Wednesday, we'll be back here next week. And our 24/7 lo-fi channel is still up. Just go to our YouTube account and you will be able to click on that. The base of the Hiway Hauler is plastic. The only part that's metal is this black cab part. Everything else, plastic. So there you go. All right, so for Wind Tunnel Wednesday, for All About Aerodynamics, for At The Track Live, and for our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week Hot Wheels Lo-Fi Chill channel, I am Coach James, and until next time, I'll see you at the races.